You won't believe how a little boy with nothing turned the life of a bitter millionaire upside down, and gave him back more than a miracle. Victor Langston had it all: wealth, fame, luxury, and power. His name echoed in corporate boardrooms and high-end charity events, not out of admiration, but fear. He was the kind of man who could buy anything: cars, companies, even silence. But after a tragic accident left him paralyzed from the waist down, money became just another possession. Useless. For the first time, Victor couldn't control something, and that loss of power ate away at him. He spent his days in a penthouse above the city, watching life move on below while he remained still, physically and emotionally. Doctors had told him recovery was unlikely. Therapists tried to convince him to accept it. Friends? They faded with time. He grew cynical, pushing people away with sharp words and colder silences. One summer afternoon, Victor found himself reluctantly outside in the park, urged by his caretaker to get fresh air. He hated it. The sound of kids playing, people jogging, lovers walking hand in hand, it all mocked him. He sat alone near a bench under a tree, lost in bitterness, when a boy approached him. The boy couldn't have been more than 9. He was dressed in worn jeans, a faded superhero shirt, and shoes that had seen better days. He had a curious, fearless look in his eyes, the kind that didn't waver even in front of someone like Victor. "You don't look happy," the boy said bluntly. Victor looked at him, amused and annoyed. "No, Sherlock." "Good observation." The boy smiled. "My name's Malachi." "What's yours?" Victor sighed. "Victor. Like victory?" Malachi asked, genuinely intrigued. Victor let out a short laugh. "Not really feeling victorious these days." Malachi looked at his wheelchair. "You're broken." Victor raised an eyebrow. "That's one way to put it." "I could fix you," Malachi said, dead serious. Victor stared at him, then scoffed. "You fix people? You a doctor or something?" "No," Malachi said, shaking his head. "But I help people. Sometimes they get better." Victor smirked, leaning back in his chair. "Tell you what, kid. You heal me, and I'll give you $1 million. Deal?" Malachi nodded without hesitation. "Deal." Victor didn't think much of it. Kids have wild imaginations. He expected the boy to run off or maybe come back with a toy stethoscope. Instead, Malachi sat down next to him and started talking. Not about medicine or therapy. About life. About hope. About things that no 9-year-old should understand, but somehow did. He showed up the next day. And the day after that. Always cheerful, always kind. He brought handmade cards, small drawings, even silly jokes. He told Victor stories of his own, about living with his grandma, how they made dinner stretch for days, how they sang songs to forget the hunger. Malachi never asked for money. He never pitied Victor. He just saw him. Victor began to look forward to those visits. He'd never admit it at first, but Malachi's presence warmed something in him that had gone cold. The boy's innocence was powerful, not naive, but pure. He didn't see the wheelchair. He didn't see the millions. He just saw a man who needed a friend. One day, Malachi placed Victor's hand on a soccer ball and said, "Try moving your fingers. Just a little. It starts small." Victor rolled his eyes but humored him. To his surprise, he felt a twitch. Over the following weeks, more followed. His doctors were stunned. Neuroplasticity, they said. Maybe psychological. Maybe something deeper. But Victor knew what changed. Malachi was healing more than muscles. He was healing pain that therapy never touched, the regret, the fear, the loneliness. Victor began to try. He followed exercises again. He smiled again. He even laughed, a sound he thought he'd forgotten. Then came the day he stood. Just for a moment, holding on to parallel bars. He looked around the rehab room, panting, heart pounding, tears falling. He did it. And the only person he wanted to tell was the boy who never gave up on him. But that day, Malachi didn't come. Nor the next. Victor sent his driver to the address Malachi had once mentioned. A rundown building near the edge of the city. The driver came back somber. Malachi was in the hospital, critical condition. He had collapsed 2 days ago. Complications from a congenital heart defect his grandmother had struggled to treat without insurance. Victor didn't hesitate. He called his doctors. Arranged for the best specialists. He used every connection, every dollar. But some things can't be bought. He arrived at the hospital too late. Malachi's grandmother was at his side, holding his hand as machines beeped softly in the background. Malachi looked up and smiled weakly when Victor entered. "You stood, didn't you?" he whispered. Victor nodded, tears running freely down his cheeks. "I did." Malachi's hand squeezed his. "Then we both win." He passed away that night. Victor kept his promise. He gave the $1 million, not in cash, but in purpose. He started the Malachi Foundation, funding healthcare for children in low-income communities. He named parks after the boy. Built centers of hope in neighborhoods long forgotten. He stood at the grand opening of the first clinic, no longer a man in a wheelchair, but a man who had learned to walk again, not just on legs, but in life. In love. In hope. And every time he told the story, he said the same words. Malachi didn't just heal my body. He healed my soul.